The war was over. Every channel across the Coalition's core systems pulsed with images of triumph. Great banners unfurling across alien metropolises, fireworks splitting alien skies in green, violet and gold, and the shrill, discordant horns of victory played on endless loop. On the capital world of Vadrath Prime, the Grand Plaza overflowed with citizens pressed shoulder to shoulder, raising their scaled arms, mandibles or crests in salute to the vast hollow screen towering over the city's spires. There, larger than life, the image of Supreme Marshal Raztor filled the air. His hide gleamed silver under the spotlight, his throat sacs inflating with every booming pronouncement. "The Terran threat is broken," he declared to the roaring crowds. Their fleets scattered, their armies annihilated, their homeworld stripped of the tools of war. Humanity, that arrogant predator species, has been taught its final lesson. The citizens shrieked in triumph, their voices a cacophony that rattled the armoured walls of the plaza. Above, formations of warships flew low, their hulls repainted with fresh kill marks, stylized human skulls, cracked planets, and broken Terran war banners. Even the younger generations, who had never seen a human except in state-approved broadcasts, mimicked the gesture of throat-slitting with gleeful abandon. From the balcony of the High Council chamber, Councillor Vranatel observed it all with cool detachment. His long antennae quivered faintly, attuned to the psychic undercurrents of the gathered masses. They radiated euphoria, relief, and something more dangerous, self-satisfaction. He let his eyes sweep the plaza, then turned to his colleague beside him. "Do they not cheer too loudly?" Vranatel asked quietly. Councillor Drix, a heavy-bodied reptilian with scarred scales, snorted. "Let them have their moment. 20 years this war dragged on. 20 years of losses, uprisings and Terran sabotage. The people need release. They need to believe it is over." Vranatel's mandibles clicked softly, an old tick of unease. Belief does not make it true. But he held his tongue as Marshal Raztor continued his bombastic address. "The Terrans fought with animal fury," the Marshal proclaimed, "but fury is not enough against discipline. They resisted, they clawed, they bled us, yes, but in the end they were broken by inevitability. And now the stars are safe once more under Coalition order." The plaza erupted again. The Marshal spread his arms wide, basking in their adoration. Holofeed spread his image to every corner of Coalition space, from the mining moons of Fexar's belt to the aquatic cities beneath Yarath's oceans. Victory had been declared. And yet, far from the cheering crowds, in the vaulted silence of the Fleet Archive, Admiral Cain reviewed the casualty logs in solitude. His tendrils traced the air as he scrolled through endless columns of names, his own officers, entire fleets reduced to static in the dark. The humans had not been an easy kill. For every ship the Coalition destroyed, 2 more bled them dry in return. For every system they took, humanity turned the ground into a furnace of resistance, ambushes and scorched earth. Cain still remembered the nightmare of Tau Cygni, when 3 Terran carriers, outnumbered 5 to 1, had unleashed swarms of drone fighters that tore through his entire vanguard before detonating in suicidal fury. The humans had called it Operation Last Light. Yes, they'd been pushed back. Yes, Earth itself had been bombarded until its orbital yards were molten slag. The last Terran fleet had shattered at Procyon. By every metric, humanity was finished. And yet he could not erase the final transmission from his memory. It had been on the eve of Procyon's fall, a Terran officer, gaunt and bloodied, appearing on every Coalition comm frequency. His voice had been hoarse, yet steady. "You think this is over? You think Earth falls quietly? Remember this, the shadow you cast over us will one day be swallowed by the greater shadow we've prepared. Celebrate while you can." The Coalition had dismissed it as human bravado, a final gasp of defiance before the inevitable. But Cain had served too long, fought too many campaigns to ignore the chill that ran down his frills at those words. He rose from his station, his joints aching, and turned as an aide entered the chamber. "Admiral," the aide said, bowing low, "you are requested at the Grand Parade. The Council expects all senior commanders present." Cain exhaled slowly. "Of course they do." The parade stretched for kilometers through Vadrath Prime's capital. Massive hover platforms carried captured Terran weapons. Broken railguns, shattered exosuits, the cracked husk of a once-feared Terran war droid. The citizens hurled refuse and spat as the trophies passed. One platform bore the blackened remains of a Terran warship's prow, its human flag still faintly visible beneath carbon scoring. Children clambered over it, laughing, their parents snapping hollow images. "See, little one," a father told his spawnling, pointing at the wreckage. "That is the last of humanity. They are gone now. You will never fear them." The spawnling chirped happily and smeared paint across the relic, adding to the graffiti scrawled in dozens of alien tongues. Extinct. Crushed. Weak. And Kerr watched from his place among the Admiralty. He said nothing, but his claws tapped against his armrest. In his gut, unease coiled like a cold serpent. When the parade reached its climax, the Coalition unveiled the greatest prize of all, a shattered Terran flag, torn from the ruins of their orbital defense ring. It was mounted on a towering spire in the plaza's center, displayed for all to jeer. The crowd's roar was deafening. But Kerr saw something else in that flag, something the others missed. Even tattered, even burned, the symbol still held defiance. The humans had painted it in bold strokes of blue and white, stark against the void, a declaration of unity, and though damaged, it had not been erased. He closed his eyes briefly. Are you truly gone, or have we merely forced you into shadow? Elsewhere, in the glittering towers of the Coalition Media Directorate, editors rushed to polish the narrative. Every broadcast emphasized human cowardice, their so-called weakness, their inevitable defeat. Clips were carefully cut, human prisoners weeping, Terran officers disarmed, Earth's burning cities. None of the footage showed the human ambushes, the desperate last stands, the countless times they had refused to surrender even in hopeless odds. Truth was a malleable thing, and the people wanted triumph, not grim reminders of what it had cost. Only a handful of analysts whispered their concerns. In hidden channels, they noted the gaps, entire human fleets gone missing without a trace. Shipyards supposedly destroyed, but never verified. Colonies that had gone silent, yet never confirmed captured. But such whispers were drowned beneath the tidal wave of celebration. At the height of the festivities, Marshal Raztor stood again before the multitudes. His voice thundered across the plaza. Let it be known across the stars. Humanity is finished, their ashes feed our triumph. Their memory will fade into dust, and we, the Coalition, shall reign unchallenged for 1,000 years. The roar that answered him was like a physical force. Fireworks erupted, filling the sky with burning trails. Warships in orbit fired ceremonial salvos, streaks of light across the firmament. Raztor lifted the broken Terran flag high, shaking it before the masses. This is all that remains. The crowd screamed in ecstasy. But far beyond their sight, in the lightless reaches of space, shadows stirred. Hidden among dead systems and asteroid fields, vast hulls began to wake. Black-armored dreadnoughts, their engines silent until now, powered to life with a hum that shook the void. Their prows bore no emblems, no flags, only cold steel and weapons bristling like the spines of ancient beasts. They waited, patient, silent. And when they came, the galaxy would remember the error of celebrating too soon. The Coalition declared humanity finished. The broadcasts echoed across every known channel. Earth reduced to smouldering ruin, its orbital defenses shattered, its fleets annihilated at Procyon. But far from the reach of their cameras and propaganda, humanity endured. In the hushed silence of the Kuiper graveyard, a forgotten expanse of frozen bodies circling Sol at unimaginable distance, the true heart of humanity's defiance beat unseen. There, among the drifting ice and tumbling fragments of ancient comets, 100 hidden stations pulsed with clandestine life. To any casual scan, they appeared as nothing more than jagged rock. But beneath the frozen crusts, engines hummed, furnaces roared, and men and women laboured ceaselessly. They called it Haven. It had been Admiral Cain's idea, years before Earth fell. Cain had never trusted the Coalition's diplomacy, had never believed in treaties written with alien clause. While politicians shook hands and broadcast platitudes, Cain had siphoned resources into the shadows. Mining ships vanished into the outer dark. Research stations went off-grid. Engineers who asked too many questions disappeared from Earth and woke to find themselves in Haven, staring at the blue-white glow of secret fusion cores. At the time, many had called her paranoid. Some even called her traitor. But when the Coalition fleets boiled through the inner system, Cain's foresight had saved the ember of humanity from extinction. Now, years later, Haven was no longer a hidden refuge. It was a forge. The Forge. The cavernous docks carved into asteroid bellies dwarfed even Earth's lost orbital yards. Here titanic hulls took shape, slabs of steel kilometers long, plated in obsidian armor that drank starlight and gave nothing back. Their forms were unlike any ship humanity had fielded before. No sleek carriers, no elegant cruisers. These were beasts of war, brutal in their geometry, bristling with rail cannons the size of skyscrapers and launch bays that could spew endless drones. The Shadow Armada. Every man, woman, and child in Haven knew the name, though none spoke it aloud outside sealed chambers. Children carved its initials into the walls of their barracks. Soldiers whispered it before sleep like a prayer. Engineers etched it into their schematics. It was both promise and vengeance, their whispered answer to the universe's attempt to erase them. Admiral Cain stood upon the observation gantry of Dock 17, her gloved hands folded behind her back. Before her loomed the unfinished colossus of the dreadnought Erebus, its prow stretching into darkness, its flanks studded with armor plates thicker than any ship humanity had ever built. Sparks rained as engineers swarmed across its hide like ants upon a leviathan. "Status?" Cain asked. Her adjutant commander Rise consulted his slate. His face was gaunt, hollow-eyed from years of ceaseless work, but there was steel in his voice. "Hull completion at 72%. Reactor cores are stable. We'll begin weapons integration within the week, if supply shipments hold." "They'll hold," Cain said. Her voice carried the weight of certainty, though she knew how fragile that assurance truly was. Every day, convoys from the outlying colonies risked discovery to bring ore, food, and parts. Every day, miners died in silence to keep the lines flowing. Reyes hesitated. "We're stretched thin, Admiral. The population is exhausted. Morale will hold," Cain cut him off. Her eyes never left the dreadnought. "Because they have no choice. We're ghosts, Commander. The galaxy believes us gone. If they discover Haven before we're ready, every child in these caverns will die screaming. The only thing that sustains us is purpose." Rise inclined his head, chastened. "Yes, Admiral." Cain allowed herself a moment of silence, her gaze tracing the length of Erebus. She thought of Earth. The oceans boiling under orbital bombardment, the continents cracked like eggshells. She thought of the faces lost, the billions reduced to ash while the Coalition celebrated. Her jaw clenched until it ached. "They think we're extinct," she said softly. "They think we're broken, but we endure. And when we return, we will not return small." Her eyes narrowed, steel reflected in her pupils. "We will return as giants." Life in Haven was not easy. In the hollowed tunnels, entire families worked side by side, children carrying scrap to furnaces while their parents hammered plates into form. Rations were meagre, air thin, gravity uneven. Disease lurked in the corners, and accidents claimed lives daily. Yet no one complained. There was a collective knowledge, unspoken yet omnipresent. Every sacrifice, every blister, every lost breath was a brick in the weapon that would reclaim their honor. In the school caverns, instructors taught not just reading and numbers, but tactics, engineering, survival. "You are not children," one teacher told his class. "You are the next crew of the Armada. Remember that." Small hands raised in salute, tiny eyes burning with purpose. In the training chambers, soldiers drilled relentlessly, their armor patched and worn, their rifles scavenged from forgotten caches. They fought in silence, save for the thud of boots and the crack of stun rounds. "Discipline above all," their sergeants barked. "We are few. That means we must be perfect." Everywhere the same rhythm beat: endurance, preparation, defiance. Captain Aidan Holt remembered the day he arrived at Haven. He had been a lieutenant then, fresh from Earth's doomed defense. His transport ship had been ripped apart in the asteroid belts, its survivors drifting in shattered lifeboats until a black-painted freighter appeared from the dark, scooping them up before vanishing again. He had awoken in a dim cavern, half convinced he was dead. Cain herself had stood before him, her expression as grim as the stone walls. "You're not dead, Lieutenant," she had told him. "You're recruited." Now, a decade later, Holt commanded the strike frigate Ghostblade, one of the few operational escorts of the Shadow Armada. His ship prowled the dark between the stars, intercepting Coalition scouts, ambushing convoys, just erasing evidence of Haven's existence. They were wolves on the edge of extinction, bloodying the predator that thought them prey. On his latest patrol, Holt's crew had captured a coalition listening post. Among its data archives, he had found something troubling, increasing reports of phantom signatures along the rimward sectors. Coalition admirals dismissed them as sensor malfunctions. Holt knew better. The Armada was stirring. Their shadows were being noticed. Admiral Cain convened the High Command that evening in Haven's central chamber, a cavern so vast its ceiling disappeared into darkness. Around the long obsidian table sat Holt, Rise, engineers, scientists, and militia leaders. At the table's centre, a holomap shimmered to life, showing the Coalition's sphere of influence spreading like a cancer across the stars. "They celebrate victory," Cain said, her voice cold. "They believe us dead. That delusion is our weapon. We will let them believe. We will let them grow complacent, and when we strike, we will strike not with claws, but with the hammer of gods." She gestured, and the hollow shifted. Massive silhouettes filled the air, Erebus, Nyx, Thanatos, Leviathan, each a dreadnought under construction. "These ships are not warships," Cain continued. "They are vengeance incarnate. When they emerge, the galaxy will tremble." Murmurs rippled around the table. Holt leaned forward, his jaw tight. "Admiral, with respect, when? The longer we wait, the more the Coalition tightens its grip. Already they hunt for survivors. Already their scouts probe deeper. We wait until the Armada is ready," Cain said firmly. "And if we're discovered before then?" Holt pressed. "Then we burn them with what we have," Cain replied without hesitation. "We burn them to ash, and even if we fall, we make sure they choke on our flames." The chamber fell silent. Finally, Reyes spoke. "And if we're not discovered?" Cain's gaze swept the table, her eyes glinting in the dim light. "Then we rise. And when we rise, no coalition, no council, no empire will ever again think humanity weak." Beyond Haven, scattered colonies endured. On the shattered moons of Proxima, in the drowned tunnels of Titan, in the drifting hulks of forgotten stations, small pockets of humanity clung to life. Many of them had no idea Haven existed, yet their survival added to the mythos. Rumours spread through smuggler networks, of black ships in the void, of human warlords gathering strength, of shadows on the edge of vision. The Coalition dismissed them as ghost stories. But in those whispers, in those fragments of hope, humanity's legend grew. And legends are harder to kill than flesh. One night, in the dim-lit corridors of Haven, Captain Holt found himself in conversation with a young recruit, barely 17. The boy's uniform hung loose on his thin frame, his eyes wide with equal parts fear and devotion. "Captain," the boy asked quietly, "do you think we'll really win?" Holt looked at him for a long moment. In truth, he didn't know. The Coalition was vast, their fleets uncountable, their resources near infinite. Humanity was a fraction of a fraction, a spark against a hurricane. But he thought of Earth. He thought of the billions gone. He thought of Cain's dreadnoughts rising in secret. "We already have," Holt said finally, "because we're still here. And that means they failed." The boy's eyes shone. He saluted sharply before vanishing into the tunnel's shadows. Holt stood alone, the silence heavy around him. "We are still here," he repeated to himself, "and that is enough, for now." Months passed. The Armada grew. One by one, the dreadnoughts neared completion. Weapons were tested, reactors roared, drone swarms awakened from hibernation. Haven shook with the constant thunder of industry, but no one faltered. At last came the day Admiral Cain had waited for. From the observation deck, she watched as the Erebus powered up fully for the first time. Its engines flared with blue fire, its hull gleamed blacker than night, its weapons aligned to the void. A hush fell across the chamber as the ship's systems reported green across every channel. Reyes turned to her, awe on his weary face. "She lives." Cain's lips curved in the faintest of smiles. "No, she wakes." Below them the Erebus shifted, breaking free of its dock with a slow, deliberate motion. It drifted forward, immense and silent, a leviathan birthed from shadow. The first of the Shadow Armada had risen. Across the galaxy, the Coalition still celebrated, still basked in their delusion of final victory. But in the void beyond their reach, in the hidden womb of Haven, the hammer of vengeance was forged. And the day would come when that hammer fell. The outer rim was silent, so silent that Commander Holt could hear the faint hum of the Ghost Blade's fusion engines vibrating through the deck plates, a reminder that even here, in the forgotten regions of space, life endured. Sensor arrays blinked in the dim light of the bridge. feeding constant streams of data to a team of engineers and tacticians who had become hardened by years of near-invisible operations. "Commander," said Lieutenant Maris, her voice taut, "we're picking up an anomaly on long-range scanners. Signature, unusual. Could be a micrometeor cluster or—" She paused, the words stuck in her throat. Holt leaned over the console, his eyes narrowing. Or a fleet moving through dark space, she admitted. Energy readings consistent with large hull masses, but no warp signatures, no emissions. It's as if they've been hiding behind some cloak. Holt felt the familiar weight settle in his chest, the thrill and dread of contact, of detection, of action. "Run the numbers," he ordered. "Cross-reference with known coalition patrols. Check sensor logs over the last 6 months. I want a complete sweep. Nothing can be overlooked." The crew snapped into motion, a choreography of trained efficiency. Sensors adjusted, sweeps expanded, and data streams flared across the holoscreens. Holt's mind ran through all the possibilities. The coalition was vast. Its fleets stretched over hundreds of systems. They could not allow a human fleet anywhere near the core sectors. And yet, the signatures were real. "Sir," Maris said after several minutes, tension in her tone, "they're moving faster than conventional propulsion should allow. No reaction thrusters visible, nothing conventional. And the signature matches partially with classified data from the Terra archives. What's left of our orbital survey logs?" Holt's mind raced. "Are you saying that it matches the initial hull configurations we were developing before Earth fell?" Maris said softly. "Commander, it could be them. The dreadnoughts, the Armada." Holt's knuckles whitened on the railing. "Bring me Admiral Cain. I want eyes on this now." Back in Haven, Cain stood on the observation gantry of Dock 17, overseeing the final phases of dreadnought construction. The Erebus, now fully armed, loomed like a shadow against the distant stars. The engines thrummed, the hum vibrating through the gantry, a living pulse of power ready to erupt. The call came in, secure channel, emergency priority. Holt's face appeared in the hollow, grim, framed by the shadowed deck of the Ghostblade. "Admiral," he said, the words clipped. "You need to see this. Sensor anomalies in the rim sectors, large hull masses moving in stealth. I've run every filter. They aren't coalition fleets. They're unknown. And I think they may have discovered some of our outer staging areas." Cain's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The bridge screens shifted. Blips appeared in a wide swath of space, barely visible against the background of stars. Each one was massive, energy readings suppressed to near invisibility. The outline of hulls, angular, brutal, unmistakably human, revealed themselves as the filters adjusted. She exhaled slowly. "They've detected us early," she said. "Not a disaster, yet. But the Coalition won't ignore these signatures. Prepare the outer perimeter. Alert every fleet in staging. This is our first signal. We must be ready to respond." Fleet preparations moved at a fever pitch. In the hidden docks carved into asteroids, crews swarmed across every hull. Railguns the size of city blocks were mounted, plasma turrets calibrated, drone bays stocked with tens of thousands of combat drones. Every dreadnought received specialized crews, trained for sabotage operations, boarding, and rapid deployment. Holt personally oversaw the integration of the Ghostblade and its sister frigates into the Armada's reconnaissance wing. Tactical officers ran simulations, plotting interception courses against hypothetical coalition patrols. Each drill was brutal, each exercise designed to test the crew's endurance and precision under extreme conditions. Maris watched as drone swarms launched in practice sweeps, colliding and regrouping with clockwork precision. "They're ready," she said, almost in disbelief. "Every simulation, every test, we've outperformed ourselves." Holt's jaw tightened. "Good, but this is real now. The Coalition will notice sooner or later. We cannot afford mistakes." The Coalition's initial response was predictably complacent. Admiral Cain, reviewing sensor logs from Vadrath Prime, noted irregularities but dismissed them. "Phantom readings," he muttered. "No vessels present. Must be debris clusters or sensor glitches. They've been broadcasting false positives for months. Keep focus on the real fleets. Earth is done. Humanity is extinct." Yet in the quiet of his command room he could not shake the unease. Something about the readings felt deliberate, patterned, strategic, almost intelligent. He did not voice the thought. To do so would invite scrutiny, and scrutiny of him was dangerous. Still, the seed of doubt had been planted. Within Haven, Cain orchestrated a series of preemptive exercises. Drone swarms were sent on mock raids, long-range targeting calibrated, and communications encrypted to a degree that even the Coalition's most advanced decryptors would fail. Each day brought the dreadnoughts closer to full operational readiness. The Armada's formation was unconventional. Cain insisted on mobility and surprise over massed firepower. Dreadnoughts could operate independently, striking multiple systems simultaneously, then regrouping in dark space before the enemy could react. Every weapon, every engine, every system was designed with a singular goal: shock, terror, and annihilation. Captain Holt supervised a squadron test of the Erebus's main guns. Massive rail cannons fired into simulated asteroid fields, their projectiles obliterating kilometers of rock in a single strike. The bridge shuddered with the force of each blast. Engineers monitored systems as energy levels spiked, feedback loops engaged, and armor plating absorbed recoil like living muscle. "These ships are not just tools of war," Holt muttered. "They are statements. Every shot tells the galaxy, do not count us out." In the training corridors, soldiers drilled with precision, moving through simulated Coalition boarding parties, repelling hostile incursions with lethal efficiency. Tactical holograms projected alien fleet movements, simulating interception attempts. Every human operative knew the stakes. Failure was unthinkable. Even in the medical bays, doctors worked tirelessly to maintain peak performance, developing regenerative treatments and cybernetic enhancements to ensure that personnel could endure prolonged combat. Every facet of human survival had been engineered to complement the Armada's brutal efficiency. Weeks passed. The anomaly in the rim sectors persisted, moving along calculated vectors. Holt monitored it tirelessly, coordinating patrols, dispatching reconnaissance frigates, and preparing contingency strike plans. Finally, he issued the order for the first reconnaissance strike. Small, fast frigates, cloaked and armed with long-range sensors and decoy drones, moved toward the anomaly, their engines silent. Holt watched through his console as one of the frigates approached the target. The blip resolved into a shape. Angular, black, utterly silent. The crew of the frigate transmitted images. "It's a human design," the operator whispered, "but massive. Larger than any Earth vessel we knew, Dreadnought class, and there's more than one." Holt's pulse quickened. "Report every hull, every engine. Prepare for escalation. The Coalition may have discovered us, or worse, underestimated what we're capable of." In Haven, Cain convened an emergency command meeting. "The first signal has come," she said. "We are no longer ghosts. They know we exist." Her gaze swept across the assembled leaders. "But knowledge does not equal power. We are ready. Every system, every crew, every weapon is in place. When the time comes, we strike as one, and the galaxy will remember why humanity cannot be counted out." The dreadnoughts rumbled in silent agreement, steel leviathans lying in wait. Outside the cavernous hangars, the stars seemed to shimmer, as if acknowledging the awakening of something long buried. Meanwhile, Kerr could no longer dismiss the readings. His fingers hovered over the alert panels, indecision creeping into his command. "Run full-spectrum scans," he ordered, his voice tight. "If these are human, then we are not prepared." Behind him, aides whispered nervously. The room hummed with tension as every sensor pinged, every anomaly logged. They had assumed the humans were gone. Dust in the void. Now, the possibility of an armada, the weapon humanity had built in secret, loomed over them like a shadow. For the first time in his career, Admiral Cain felt true fear. The first signal had been received, a warning, faint but undeniable. Humanity was no longer broken. The Armada stirred, engines waiting for the day they would roar to life, and the galaxy had only begun to sense what was coming. The message was simple: do not celebrate too soon. The shadow of vengeance was gathering, and when it fell, the Coalition would see the truth of human resilience and the folly of underestimating a species they believed defeated. The Outer Rim had never been this quiet. Not since the early days of human colonization, when scattered settlements and drifting freighters eked out survival among asteroid belts and dead planets. Now, silence stretched across the void like a dark shroud. Not a patrol, not a broadcast, not a single Coalition scout dared to probe the sectors where humanity had hidden, where the Armada had been forged. Commander Holt's bridge crew stood at full alert, hearts tight with anticipation. The Ghost Blade patrolled the edge of the staging zone, flanked by frigates and corvettes, each hull a shadow-black monument to human engineering. Every system was operational, every weapon primed, every pilot and soldier poised for action. Maris's voice cut through the tense hum of the bridge. "Commander, multiple contacts emerging from the void. Confirmed, Dreadnought class. 1, 2, 3. Her tone shifted, disbelief creeping in. "At least 7, sir. All fully armed. Moving into formation." Holt leaned forward, jaw tight. "Signal Admiral Cain. She needs eyes on this. Prepare all boarding teams and drone wings. This is the moment we've trained for. All stations engage readiness protocols Alpha through Omega. No errors." The crew moved with the precision of a well-oiled machine, systems humming, consoles flaring as targeting arrays locked, defensive shields powered, and command nodes synchronized. Every sensor scan, every calculation, every drill from years of preparation was about to be tested. In Haven, Admiral Cain observed the tactical holomap as the dreadnoughts moved into formation. The Erebus led the line, its prow cutting through the dark with a predatory elegance. The Nyx, Thanatos, Leviathan, and the other vessels followed, each hulking Leviathan perfectly synchronized. "They see us," Cain said quietly. "They have no idea what's coming, and they will pay dearly." Rise, standing beside her, gave a curt nod. "All systems ready, drone wings deployed, boarding teams armed. The first strike is ours to command." Cain's gaze hardened. "Remember, this is not just war. This is a statement. Humanity endures. Humanity conquers, not through brute force alone, but through strategy, precision, and relentless will." The dreadnoughts pulsed like living entities, engines roaring to life as they shifted from dormant wait into battle-ready posture. The stars around them seemed to vibrate with the sudden surge of power. Across the void, in the Coalition's monitoring stations, anomalies began to appear. Sensor operators blinked in confusion as massive, black shapes emerged from sectors long thought abandoned. The blips did not correspond with any known Coalition class, and energy readings were suppressed to near zero. Admiral Enker's office erupted with activity as reports poured in. "Multiple unregistered vessels," a junior officer shouted. "They're human! Massive hulls, no emissions, no communications. They can't be." Enker cut him off sharply. His clawed hand hovered over the alert panel. "Earth is dead. Humanity is extinct. There is nothing there." "Sir," another officer interjected, voice tight with panic, "the readings are consistent with Dreadnought-class vessels. They're approaching Coalition-controlled systems. This is impossible." Enker's mandibles clicked in frustration. For years he had celebrated the presumed extinction of humanity, overseeing the destruction of their fleets, the annihilation of Earth's orbital defenses. And now, this. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm, even as dread slithered through his thoughts. "Prepare defensive grids, scramble interceptors, alert all admirals. Humanity may be gone, but we will not underestimate them." In the quiet of the void, the first dreadnought decloaked fully. The Erebus's hull appeared like a predator stepping out of shadow, black against the black of space, yet somehow more menacing than the void itself. Its weapons bristled, shields hummed, and drones swarmed from hidden bays. Holt watched from the bridge of the Ghost Blade, breath held. "All wings report." "Ready, sir," Maris confirmed. "Drone formations in position. Weapons systems online, boarding teams armed. We are fully operational." The first salvo did not come immediately. Humanity had waited for the perfect moment. The Armada advanced in silence, a symphony of mechanical precision, until the Coalition's outer patrols moved too close. Then, with a sudden, coordinated strike, they unleashed the first volley of drones, intercepting scouts and disabling them with surgical efficiency. Explosions bloomed silently in space, as human drone swarms tore through enemy formations. Coalition ships were shredded before they could mount effective defense. The dreadnoughts moved as one, each shot calculated, every strike devastating. Holt's comms crackled with updates from every wing. "Sir, we've neutralized 3 patrol frigates, 1 cruiser disabled, no human casualties, all drones accounted for." "Good," Holt replied. "Push forward, keep formations tight, do not overextend. Remember your training." The Coalition, watching in horror from their command centers, struggled to respond. Their fleets were large, yes, but the Armada's speed, coordination, and firepower rendered conventional tactics obsolete. Interceptor squadrons were decimated before firing a shot. Boarding parties found themselves outmatched by advanced human systems and countermeasures. The Erebus fired its primary rail cannon at a coalition destroyer, obliterating it in a single precise strike. Shockwaves radiated through space, throwing debris across kilometers. The destruction was complete. Humans aboard the dreadnoughts barely registered the damage. It was, to them, merely a rehearsal for the greater objectives yet to come. Cain's voice came through comms, steady and commanding. "Halt! All wings converge on designated targets. Strike decisively, but do not waste firepower. The message must be clear. Humanity is no longer a prey species. We are apex predators." Holt nodded, his hands steady on the controls. "Understood, Admiral. Execution in progress." Drone wings coordinated attacks, striking multiple coalition positions simultaneously. Communications arrays were disabled, warp engines sabotaged, and boarding teams infiltrated command vessels, leaving coalition officers bewildered and powerless. For every ship destroyed, the coalition command structure reeled further. Orders were confused, intercepted, or ignored as human tactics outpaced their response. And Kerr could do nothing but watch, paralyzed with disbelief, as humanity's armada tore through systems once thought secure. By the time the first hour of engagement had passed, entire fleets had been annihilated or driven into retreat. The humans did not pursue recklessly. They struck with strategic precision, ensuring maximum psychological impact. Coalition crews, witnessing their supposedly extinct enemy return in unstoppable force, panicked. Commanders faltered, admirals shouted futile orders, and fleets collapsed under the weight of unexpected terror. Holt's voice, calm but forceful, carried across the comms channels. "Let this be the first lesson. You celebrated our extinction. You declared victory. And now you face the consequences." The dreadnoughts advanced, systems humming, shields crackling. The Erebus led the formation, a dark god among the stars. Behind it, Nyx, Thanatos, and the others followed, each striking with lethal precision. The humans had waited for this moment for years, and their vengeance was absolute. On Vadrath Prime, news feeds from across the Coalition systems began to leak images of destruction. Holo broadcasts showed entire fleets disintegrating in seconds, command centers shattered, planets threatened with bombardment from distant dreadnoughts. Panic replaced celebration. Governments that had boasted of victory now scrambled to issue orders, to organize countermeasures, to understand what had emerged from the void. And Kerr's claws tightened on the armrest of his command chair. They said Earth is dead. They said humanity is extinct. And yet, his voice cracked with a mix of rage and disbelief. They were lying. All of them. We underestimated them. The realization struck like lightning. Humanity had not merely survived. Humanity had waited, hidden and perfected a response that would leave the galaxy trembling. In the void, Holt watched as his dreadnoughts moved toward their next objectives. Prepare for planetary disruption operations. Targets identified. Strike when ready. Maris glanced at him, her face pale but determined. "Sir, they have no idea what's coming." Holt smiled faintly. "No, and that's how it will remain." The Erebus fired its secondary cannons, sending precise barrages toward a coalition stronghold in the outer rim. Explosions erupted across the planet's orbit, debris raining down onto its surface. Panic swept through the coalition's command networks. Humanity's armada had arrived, and nothing could stop it. Not fleets, not defenses, not propaganda. By nightfall, the first coalition systems had fallen. Communication arrays were crippled, ships destroyed, entire stations left lifeless. Humanity did not celebrate. They had struck decisively, but the war was far from over. Cain stood on the gantry of the Erebus, her eyes fixed on the stars. The Armada's engines glowed like distant suns. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. "The galaxy will learn at last the cost of underestimating Earth." In the darkness, the dreadnoughts moved like shadows across the void, harbingers of a vengeance long delayed. And the first signal, the warning humanity had sent, had become a message written in fire, steel and annihilation. Do not count us out. Ever. The outer rim systems, long thought secure under coalition control, trembled under the arrival of humanity's armada. Stars that had witnessed centuries of dominance now reflected the shadows of human dreadnoughts, cutting through the void with preternatural precision. Entire fleets were annihilated in hours, Communications disrupted, planetary defenses obliterated. Commander Holt watched from the bridge of the Ghost Blade, his eyes scanning multiple holoscreens feeding live sensor data from each operational dreadnought. The Erebus led the line, accompanied by Nyx, Thanatos, Leviathan, and their support fleets. Each movement was choreographed with surgical precision. Nothing was wasted, nothing misaligned. "Sir," Lieutenant Maris said, voice tight with focus, "target confirmation for Sector 72 Delta. Coalition planetary defenses are engaged. Shields at 40%. Orbital gun arrays neutralized. Planetary command hub compromised. Civilians evacuated mostly, according to logs." Holt's fingers hovered over the console. "Launch strike drones. Full perimeter assault. Minimize collateral damage where possible. We are hunters, not executioners, though the choice for those in command who ignored humanity's existence is theirs to regret." Admiral Cain's voice crackled over comms, calm, precise, a steel edge beneath her words. "Holt, ensure all dreadnoughts maintain formation. Avoid overextension. Planetary disruption is to send a message. Let them see the cost of underestimating us, but do not waste resources on minor targets. The Coalition will respond. Anticipate countermeasures." "Understood, Admiral," Holt replied. He turned to his tactical officers. "Deploy drone squadrons for orbital suppression. Boarding teams, prep for infiltration of remaining command centers. All wings, execute with precision. Humanity is not here to negotiate." From orbit, the planetary surface of Sector 72 Delta was a hub of Coalition activity. Massive gun batteries bristled on every continent. Anti-orbital shields hummed with energy, and automated defense grids roared to life. Coalition officers scrambled as new reports of dreadnought sightings appeared on their sensors. Admiral Lencare observed the chaos from Vadrath Prime, his mandibles clacking with agitation. "They're targeting population centers," he growled. "No, not the populations. The command centers. Planetary coordination nodes. Every target is strategic. They're dismantling our infrastructure before we can mount a defense." A junior officer stepped forward nervously. "Sir, reinforcements from neighboring systems are en route, but they'll arrive too late if we don't act now." Kerr's gaze hardened. "Then we act with what we have. Prepare countermeasures, deploy interceptors. If humanity thinks they can strike freely, they will learn the cost." In orbit around 72 Delta, the Shadow Armada moved like predators. Dreadnoughts aligned, shielding each other, firing volleys of precision projectiles to neutralize orbital defenses. Massive railguns tore through the atmosphere, creating shockwaves that rippled across the planet's surface. Drone swarms deployed, targeting communications arrays, satellite hubs and military installations. Coalition ships scrambled to respond, but every maneuver played into the Armada's hands. Holt observed the destruction, noting with grim satisfaction the precision and efficiency of the operation. "All wings report," he commanded. Maris's voice returned, steady despite the scale of chaos. "All objectives met. Orbital defenses neutralized. Primary command structures compromised. No significant human casualties. Civilians evacuated to outer colonies." "Excellent," Holt said. "Maintain pressure. Let them know the cost of underestimating humanity. Prepare for planetary occupation if necessary. Secondary targets in adjacent sectors. Lock coordinates." On the surface, Coalition commanders faced an unprecedented situation. Sensors were jammed, communications unreliable, and the sudden appearance of dreadnoughts had thrown centuries of strategic doctrine into disarray. Command hubs were destroyed faster than they could react, and fleets sent to intercept were shredded by precise volleys. Admiral Cain struggled to maintain order. "Deploy interceptors. Activate planetary shields. Do not allow the humans to breach the atmosphere." Reports came in, one after another. Orbital guns disabled, shield generators destroyed, interceptor fleets annihilated before entering range. Panic spread like wildfire, a contagion fed by the relentless advance of the Armada. Holt turned his attention to the deployment of boarding teams. These were elite units, trained for infiltration and sabotage. In synchronized strikes, they descended upon key command hubs, using magnetic thrusters and stealth pods to breach surfaces. Coalition officers barely had time to register their presence before being subdued, detained, or neutralized. Communications were cut, leaving the planet's defense network in chaos. "Boarding teams, confirm objectives secured," Holt ordered. "Targets neutralized, sir. Communications offline. Planetary coordination disrupted. Enemy personnel contained, came the reply. Holt allowed himself a brief nod. Humanity's strategy was unfolding flawlessly. Years of preparation, secrecy, and precision now paid off. Admiral Cain observed from Haven, overseeing multiple dreadnoughts through holofeed and long-range sensor arrays. Excellent work, she said. Holt, ensure all primary objectives are complete. Avoid overextension, but keep pressure high. The Coalition will attempt to counterattack. Anticipate their moves. The message we send must be unmistakable. Humanity cannot be eradicated. Understood, Admiral, Holt replied. All wings coordinating for secondary operations. Secondary operations involved more than orbital strikes. Humanity's military strategists targeted key planetary infrastructure, resource hubs, manufacturing facilities, energy plants, systematically dismantling the Coalition's ability to respond effectively. Drone swarms disabled reactors without causing mass casualties. Strategic bombardments created zones of denial, forcing enemy forces to retreat or risk annihilation. The Coalition, caught unprepared and unable to coordinate effectively, floundered. Reinforcements arrived too late, too scattered, and were easily neutralized. The Armada's combination of dreadnought firepower, drone deployment, and elite boarding units proved unstoppable. In the midst of the assault, Holt's communications lit up with reports from reconnaissance units. Sir, additional enemy formations detected near Sector 73 Zeta. They appear to be attempting flanking maneuvers. Divert drone squadrons to intercept. Deploy decoys to mislead their sensors. Let them overcommit and leave themselves vulnerable, Holt commanded. His voice was calm, controlled, betraying none of the tension he felt. The strategy worked. Coalition fleets, misled by decoy signals, collided with drone swarms in the void. Dreadnoughts fired from long range, obliterating enemy formations with surgical precision. Within hours, what had appeared to be reinforcements were reduced to debris fields drifting silently in space. On the planetary surface of 72 Delta, the devastation was clear. Key command centers lay in ruins. Energy grids were crippled, orbital defenses obliterated. Yet the human crews had taken care to minimize civilian casualties where possible. The destruction was targeted, deliberate, and precise, sending a message that was as psychological as it was physical. Holt surveyed the aftermath from orbit, noting the effectiveness of the campaign. Report to Admiral Cain. Primary objectives complete. Secondary operations underway. No human casualties beyond minor incidents. Planetary systems neutralized or under control. Maris smiled faintly, exhaustion evident on her face. They'll remember this, sir. Every Coalition fleet, every command hub. They'll remember the first day the Shadow Armada arrived. Holt's jaw tightened. Good. Let them learn it well. This is only the beginning. Admiral Cain, watching from Vadrath Prime, realized the gravity of the situation. Humanity had returned not as refugees or survivors, but as a fully equipped, strategically superior force. Every assumption he had made, every dismissal of human capability, had been proven fatally wrong. They were never gone, Cain whispered to himself. They have been waiting, and now the galaxy will burn. Back aboard the Erebus, Cain watched sensor feeds as fleets in distant sectors reported similar strikes. The Armada moved like a shadow across the Coalition's territories, every engagement a lesson in precision and strategic brilliance. Prepare for continued operations, she ordered. Our fleets will not rest until the Coalition understands the cost of underestimating humanity. Every system they control, every fleet they deploy, will face the consequences. This is the breaking of worlds. And so it began. The Shadow Armada swept across the outer rim, planetary defenses shattered, fleets annihilated, and the Coalition reeling in shock. Humanity's vengeance had arrived, unstoppable, precise, and undeniable. The first strikes had been executed flawlessly, and the message was clear. Underestimate humanity at your own peril. In the void, the dreadnoughts moved like predators, silent, relentless, and implacable. Stars reflected their passage, systems trembled under their presence, and the galaxy was forced to reckon with a species it had thought defeated. The breaking of worlds had begun. Coalition command centers were in chaos. Reports of orbital annihilation, planetary destruction, and entire fleets disappearing in hours had thrown centuries of military planning into disarray. Admiral Cain paced before the central holomap, mandibles clacking with frustration and disbelief. They were extinct, he growled. Every fleet destroyed, every world occupied, or so we believed, and yet here they are. They have rebuilt, they have struck back, and they are everywhere. A junior officer trembled as he spoke. Sir, our fleets are converging for a counteroffensive, multiple systems preparing coordinated strikes. But the human dreadnoughts... Do not waste words, Enker barked. They are human, they are cunning, and they are fast. We will strike as one, or we will be destroyed. Begin counteroffensive protocol Omega. Mobilize every available fleet. Assemble at designated vectors. Humanity will pay for their arrogance. In the void, human reconnaissance satellites had already detected the Coalition's movements. Holt monitored the incoming fleets, noting composition, formation, and projected vectors. They're attempting a pincer, he observed. 2 main fleets converging on our forward staging sectors. Interceptors, cruisers, destroyers. They believe numbers will overcome us. Maris's brow furrowed. Sir, they've miscalculated. They don't realize the speed and coordination of our dreadnoughts. We can engage on our terms. We can pick the battlefield. Holt nodded, voice low but firm. Exactly. Alert all wings. Prepare to lure them into kill zones. Dreadnoughts, advance to positions Alpha through Delta. Maintain stealth until optimal engagement distance. This is a test of patience and precision. Admiral Cain oversaw the Armada from Haven, her expression calm but commanding. Holt, do not underestimate them. The Coalition will fight desperately, recklessly. Their fleets are large, yes, but coordination is their weakness. Exploit it. They will overcommit. We will dismantle them in detail. Understood, Admiral, Holt replied, all dreadnoughts confirming readiness. Cain's eyes swept the holomap. This is our moment. Every strike, every volley, every drone swarm must be precise. We show the galaxy not just that humanity survives, but that we dominate. The first Coalition fleet emerged from the void, hundreds of ships moving in rigid formation. Their flags flew proudly, a declaration that they would not cede space without a fight. Yet the humans were prepared. Drone swarms deployed ahead of the main formation, intercepting and disabling lead cruisers with surgical efficiency. Rail cannon volleys from the Erebus shredded enemy vessels before they could react. Holt's voice rang across the comms. Engage the decoys, lead them into the kill zone, maintain formation, let them overextend. As expected, Coalition fleets fell for the trap. Their primary vessels pushed forward, attempting to flank the dreadnoughts while smaller interceptor squadrons engaged drones. The humans had anticipated every move. Massive railguns tore through enemy formations, while secondary weapon systems disabled communications, sensors, and warp engines. Chaos spread through the Coalition ranks. From orbit, planetary defenses were irrelevant. Humanity struck in the void, ensuring that ground-based fleets could neither support nor escape. Boarding teams prepared for planetary deployment, but only after the primary fleets were neutralized. Precision strikes minimized unnecessary casualties, targeting command nodes, weapons systems, and fleet coordination hubs. Holt's tactical console displayed the unfolding carnage. All wings report, he ordered. Primary objectives neutralized, Maris confirmed. All enemy vessels either destroyed or disabled. Boarding teams prepared for secondary operations. No human casualties beyond minor incidents. Holt allowed himself a brief nod. Excellent. Maintain pressure. Do not allow any Coalition unit to reorganize. The second Coalition fleet arrived, larger and more coordinated, attempting to engage from multiple vectors simultaneously. Sensors detected long-range missile volleys, electronic countermeasures, and boarding craft designed to breach dreadnought hulls. Holt's fingers danced across the console. Activate countermeasures. Drone swarms intercept incoming missiles, shields at maximum. Boarding teams prepared to repel intruders. Maintain formation, do not break ranks. Coalition interceptors collided with human drone squadrons in waves, but each swarm acted with perfect coordination. Dreadnought shields absorbed impacts that would have annihilated conventional cruisers, and the humans' counterattacks neutralized enemy ships before they could close the distance. Admiral Cain observed the engagement, calculating probabilities in real time. They'll attempt to flank again, she predicted. Prepare secondary kill zones. Focus rail cannon fire on command vessels. Ensure coordination between dreadnoughts and drone wings. Holt executed her orders. The Nyx and Thanatos fired simultaneous volleys at the lead coalition cruisers, crippling engines and destroying command modules. The Erebus launched boarding pods, seizing control of key vessels before their crews could react. The coalition's carefully planned counterattack was unraveling. Communications collapsed under electronic interference, command hierarchies broke down, and fleets fell into chaos. What had begun as a coordinated assault was now a disorganized retreat, each fleet attempting to survive against overwhelming odds. On Vadrath Prime, Ninker's fury was palpable. How is this possible? He demanded. They should be extinct. We should have annihilated them decades ago. His aide stammered, unable to answer. Sir, they're dreadnoughts. Their coordination, it's beyond anything we've encountered. Ninker's eyes narrowed. Then we must adapt. Mobilize reserves, deploy experimental weapons, activate contingency fleets. Humanity will pay for their insolence. It was too late. Humanity had anticipated this response, positioning their dreadnoughts to counter every conceivable move. Coalition experimental weapons were destroyed before deployment. Reserves were ambushed in transit. Contingency fleets were annihilated in carefully orchestrated trap zones. Every strike by the humans was premeditated, precise, and devastating. In the void, Holt observed the remnants of the Second Fleet attempting retreat maneuvers. Do not allow escape, he ordered. Cut off warp vectors. Drone wings intercept. Rail cannons fire on engines. They cannot flee. The engagement became a masterclass in strategy. Coalition ships, forced into predictable patterns, were destroyed with near-perfect accuracy. Boarding teams secured disabled vessels, salvaging intelligence and materials for humanity's war effort. Maris's voice was calm but resolute. Sir, all fleets neutralized or in retreat. Human losses minimal. Boarding operations successful. Coalition command structure fractured. Psychological impact catastrophic. Holt allowed a rare smile. Good. Relay success to Admiral Cain. Maintain surveillance. They may regroup, but they will not strike again for some time. Humanity has won the first real counteroffensive. Across the galaxy, word spread. Fleet after fleet, planet after planet, the humans' return was no longer a rumor. The Coalition's once impervious confidence crumbled. Governments and military leaders realized the folly of underestimating a species they had declared extinct. Panic spread, coordination failed, and every system the humans touched trembled under the weight of their calculated vengeance. Admiral Cain addressed the Armada via secure holofeed. Holt, Maris, all wings. Our counterattack has succeeded. But this is not the end. The Coalition will regroup. They will attempt to strike again. We must continue operations with the same precision and discipline that brought us here. Humanity has returned. The galaxy must remember. Understood, Admiral, Holt replied. We will remain vigilant. Every system, every fleet, every engagement. Humanity's legacy is clear. On Vadrath Prime, Ninker stared at the holomap, the remnants of his fleets scattered and broken. They are not merely surviving, he muttered. They are dominating. They are rewriting the rules of war. And we cannot stop them. His aides remained silent. Even in the heart of the Coalition, fear had replaced arrogance. Humanity's return had shattered centuries of perceived supremacy, and the Shadow Armada's tactical genius ensured that every counterattack only solidified their dominance. Holt, aboard the Ghost Blade, looked across the holofeed of the battlefield. The Coalition's fleets were in retreat, command structures fractured, and planetary defenses compromised. Prepare for consolidation, he ordered. Repair teams deploy. Boarding teams secure captured assets. Maintain orbital dominance. Humanity must remain unchallenged for the next phase. Maris nodded. Sir, they will remember this day. Every commander, every fleet, they will know the cost of underestimating humanity. Holt allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. The human strategy, patience, and precision had proven decisive. The Coalition's desperate counterattack had failed, leaving them fractured, demoralized, and vulnerable. The galaxy had begun to understand a simple truth. Humanity was no longer a species to be dismissed. The Shadow Armada's strike had reshaped the balance of power, and the message was unmistakable. Do not challenge humanity. Do not underestimate humanity. Do not assume we are gone. The Coalition had struck back, and it had failed. Humanity's vengeance was absolute. The war was far from over, but the first real victory in humanity's campaign had been secured. And the Shadow Armada, silent and implacable, waited for the next phase, prepared to extend its dominion across the stars. The stars burned with silent intensity, reflecting the passage of humanity's dreadnoughts across the void. After months of surgical strikes, orbital annihilations, and the fracturing of the Coalition's command networks, the Armada moved with a purpose beyond vengeance, reclamation. Humanity had returned, not as refugees, but as apex predators of the void. Commander Holt stood on the bridge of the Ghostblade, observing the final stages of the campaign. The holomap displayed Coalition systems in disarray, fleets immobilized, planets in lockdown, orbital defenses annihilated. Entire star sectors had been rendered inert, communication hubs destroyed, leaving the enemy scattered and leaderless. "Sir," Lieutenant Maris reported, voice steady despite exhaustion, "planetary pacification operations complete in all primary sectors. Secondary targets secured. Remaining resistance confined to isolated planetary fortresses. No human casualties beyond minor incidents. Civilian populations largely safe. Coalition morale shattered." Holt's fingers hovered over the command interface, eyes narrowing. "Excellent. Begin consolidation. Deploy repair teams to maintain orbital dominance. Salvage and integrate captured assets. Prepare for fleet redeployment as needed. Humanity must remain unchallenged." Admiral Cain's hollow projection appeared on the bridge, her expression calm, resolute and unyielding. "Holt, Maris, the Shadow Armada has demonstrated precision, patience and superiority in every engagement. The Coalition has learned the cost of underestimating us, but consolidation is the critical phase. Ensure all captured systems are secure, all Coalition personnel neutralized or detained, and all strategic resources under human control." "Understood, Admiral," Holt replied. "All dreadnoughts are on standby. Boarding teams continue securing planetary hubs. Drone wings monitor sectors for residual threats. Humanity's position is secure." Cain's gaze swept across the holomap. "Good. This is not only war, it is a demonstration of resilience. Humanity has returned from the brink. The galaxy must remember our presence, our strength, and our resolve. Do not falter, Commander. The message we send now will echo for generations." Holt's jaw tightened. "We will not falter." Across the galaxy, Coalition remnants struggled to respond. Their fleets were scattered, communication networks fractured, and planetary defenses in ruins. Commanders debated retreat, surrender, or desperate strikes, but hesitation proved fatal. The human strategy had anticipated every maneuver, every tactic, every potential countermeasure. Admiral Cain, isolated on Vadrath Prime, felt the weight of inevitable defeat. "They are not merely surviving," he muttered, mandibles clicking in disbelief. "They are reclaiming, and we cannot stop them." His aides remained silent. Even the Coalition's most cunning strategists could not predict or counter humanity's coordinated approach. The Dreadnought's combination of overwhelming firepower, precision strikes, and tactical ingenuity ensured absolute dominance. Holt directed the next phase, planetary stabilization and resource consolidation. Drone wings deployed to repair damaged infrastructure, restore critical energy systems, and ensure civilian populations could resume minimal operations. Boarding teams facilitated the surrender of remaining Coalition forces, capturing officers and securing sensitive intelligence. "Sir," Maris reported, "planetary stabilization complete. All major sectors secure. Coalition resistance confined to isolated outposts. Civilians increasingly cooperative. Psychological impact profound. Most Coalition populations now view humans as unstoppable, omnipresent and inevitable." Holt allowed a brief nod. "Excellent. Prepare for integration of captured fleets and systems. Humanity's return is complete. We will govern, protect, and dominate where necessary." On Haven, Admiral Cain reviewed reports from all active dreadnoughts. Every system now under human influence, every Coalition fleet neutralized or in retreat, and the galaxy itself trembling under the Shadow Armada's presence. "Phase 2 is complete," she said, voice steady. "Humanity has reclaimed its position among the stars. But the message must remain clear. Do not underestimate us. Do not assume we are extinct. Every planet, every fleet, every sector will carry the memory of this campaign." Holt responded from the comms. "Admiral, our operations are complete. Dreadnoughts and support fleets fully operational. Civilian population stabilized. Coalition command structures effectively dismantled. Humanity's presence is undeniable." Cain's eyes gleamed. "Good. Prepare final broadcast. Send a signal across the galaxy. Let every species, every government, every fleet know the truth. Humanity endures. Humanity dominates. Humanity will not be erased. The final broadcast was unlike any message sent in history. Unlike propaganda, it was not a threat. It was an assertion of existence, of will, of resilience. A voice, calm yet commanding, echoed across every subspace frequency. To all who have assumed humanity extinct, hear this. We have returned. We have endured. We have observed. We have prepared. And we have struck. The Shadow Armada is now the measure of power in this sector. Underestimate us again, and you will learn the consequences firsthand. Humanity is eternal. Humanity is sovereign. Humanity has reclaimed the stars. Across the galaxy, stations recorded the signal. Fleets halted mid-maneuver. Planets went dark as leaders paused to listen. Coalition remnants froze, unable to comprehend the full scope of human resurgence. Fear, awe, and respect rippled across every system. Holt watched the holofeed, noting reactions from key coalition systems. "Maris, do you see that?" he asked. "Every fleet, every command center, every populated planet, frozen. They understand now. Humanity is not to be trifled with." Maris nodded, voice tight with satisfaction. They will not forget. Not ever. The Erebus moved through orbit around the last captured planet, engines humming softly. Railguns and energy arrays were fully operational, a reminder of humanity's power. Boarding teams prepared to oversee final stabilization. "This is our moment," Holt said quietly. "The galaxy will remember it. The humans are back, and nothing can erase that fact." On Vadrath Prime, Ninker faced the hollow projection of the human broadcast, his claws clenched, mandibles clicking in frustration and disbelief. "They have returned, and they have won," his aides trembled. "Sir, there is no recovery. The fleets, the planets, all under human control." Ninker's eyes narrowed. "Then humanity has claimed its rightful place. The galaxy will never forget it." Holt addressed his crews, voice echoing across the Ghostblade's bridge. "Today marks the culmination of years of preparation, sacrifice, and patience. Humanity has reclaimed its place among the stars. Every system secured, every fleet neutralized, every threat neutralized or integrated. Our enemies have learned the cost of underestimating us. Remember this moment. Humanity endures, humanity triumphs. Humanity rules where it must, protects where it can, and dominates where necessary." Maris's eyes glinted. The galaxy will remember, forever. The dreadnoughts moved in unison, engines pulsing, weapons systems primed yet idle. The Shadow Armada had returned, not as mere survivors, but as the apex of human ingenuity, strategy, and resilience. Months passed, and the galaxy adjusted. Coalition governments dissolved or fell under human supervision. Trade routes reopened under strict but efficient management. Colonies previously abandoned now thrived under human guidance. Yet, even in administration, the message remained. Humanity had returned, and the price of arrogance was written in destroyed fleets, shattered planets, and fractured empires. Holt stood on the observation deck of the Erebus, staring at the stars stretching endlessly before him. "We've won," he whispered. "Not just a battle, not just a campaign, but the message humanity needed to send." Maris joined him, her expression serene. "And the galaxy has heard it. No one will forget. Humanity's return, it's irreversible." Holt nodded. "Indeed, and this is only the beginning. Humanity has reclaimed the stars, and we will ensure no species ever underestimates us again." Admiral Cain's voice came across the comms one final time. "The Shadow Armada stands victorious. Humanity has reclaimed its place in the galaxy. Remember this. Our survival, our strength, and our dominance are intertwined. This is not vengeance. This is assertion. This is the truth the galaxy must accept." "Understood, Admiral," Holt replied. "The Armada will continue to safeguard humanity's interests. The message is clear. We are here, we endure, and we will not be denied." The dreadnoughts pulsed in unison, engines glowing, systems humming, the silent guardians of humanity's return. Across the stars, fleets, planets, and civilizations took note. Humanity had reclaimed the galaxy, not by coincidence, not by luck, but by precision, strategy, and unyielding resolve. The Shadow Armada had returned. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity had made it clear, underestimate us at your own peril. The void of space stretched endlessly, a tapestry of black velvet punctuated by distant stars. The Shadow Armada glided silently through the darkness, its dreadnoughts humming with quiet power. No alarms sounded, no fleets challenged their passage. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity's return was no longer a rumor whispered in fear. It was a reality, undeniable and eternal. Commander Holt stood on the observation deck of the Erebus, staring out at the infinity of space. The stars, once distant points of light, now seemed almost tangible, witnesses to humanity's rebirth. Every planet reclaimed, every fleet neutralized, every command structure dismantled had been a testament not only to human ingenuity but to human will. Maris joined him, her posture calm, her eyes reflecting starlight. "It's quiet now," she said softly, the weight of the campaign evident in her voice. "Too quiet, almost." Holt nodded. "Yes, silence often follows a storm. But this is not the end. This is the moment the galaxy will remember. The moment humanity stepped back into the stars and reclaimed its place, not as conquerors, but as the apex survivors who would not be erased." Far below, planets once controlled by the Coalition began tentative recoveries. Cities that had been abandoned or left in ruin now hummed with activity, guided and supervised by human coordinators. Resources were allocated efficiently, trade routes reopened, and communication networks rebuilt with unprecedented speed. Yet even in recovery, the shadow of the Armada loomed, a constant reminder that the humans had returned not to negotiate, but to dominate where necessary and protect where it mattered. Across these systems, civilians whispered stories of the humans who had returned. Tales of dreadnoughts that moved with impossible precision, of drone wings that neutralized entire fleets, of boarding teams who could infiltrate the strongest fortresses without a trace. Fear and awe mingled together, leaving an imprint that would last generations. Holt reflected on the magnitude of the campaign. It had been more than a war, it had been a statement. Humanity had survived extinction, adapted to every challenge, and returned stronger than ever. Every maneuver had been calculated, every strike precise, every operation a message to the galaxy. Underestimate us at your own peril. Maris broke the silence. "Do you think they understand it now? The Coalition? The other species?" Holt's gaze remained fixed on the stars. "They understand. Every fleet, every command hub, every world knows. But understanding alone is not enough. They will respect us, or they will suffer the consequences of forgetting." In the void, the dreadnoughts moved as one, silent sentinels of humanity's resurgence. The engines pulsed with quiet energy, their hum a lullaby of inevitability. Sensors scanned for threats, communications relayed through secure subspace channels, and fleets remained on alert, not out of fear but out of duty. Humanity had reclaimed the stars, and every system touched by their presence was now under watchful, unwavering protection. Yet, even in triumph, Holt knew the galaxy would never be fully at peace. There would always be those who sought to challenge humanity, who doubted their return, who believed old assumptions of extinction and weakness. But the Shadow Armada had demonstrated the consequences of arrogance and underestimation. On a distant colony world, children gazed up at the night sky, pointing to the streak of a dreadnought passing silently in orbit. Their parents whispered stories of humanity's return, of the fleets that had shattered the Coalition, and of the heroes who had led the charge. These tales were not myths, they were warnings, histories, and inspiration all at once. The next generation would grow up knowing that humanity was a force the galaxy could not ignore. Maris watched similar scenes across the systems under human guidance. Planetary administrators, scientists, and civilians alike were now part of a network of vigilance, cooperation, and resilience. The galaxy's once dismissive empires had learned that survival required recognition of humanity's enduring presence. Holt's mind returned to the countless battles, the precision strikes, and the countless sacrifices that had led to this moment. Each engagement had been more than military strategy. It had been a demonstration of humanity's capacity for adaptation, courage, and absolute resolve. Every ship destroyed, every command structure neutralized, every fleet captured had sent the same message: humanity cannot be erased. "Do you ever think about what comes next?" Maris asked, her voice soft. "We've reclaimed systems, won battles, sent the message. But what now?" Holt exhaled slowly. "Now we endure. We ensure that humanity remains strong, vigilant, and unchallenged. We build the foundation for the future, not just for ourselves, but for every planet under our protection. Humanity's return is not just a war, it is a responsibility." Admiral Cain's final instructions had resonated with the entire Armada. The campaign was over, but the mission was eternal. Watchfulness, readiness, and the constant assertion of presence would ensure that the galaxy never again assumed humanity could be dismissed. Every planet, every fleet, every civilization would carry the imprint of that return in memory and caution. Holt gazed at the stars and felt a profound sense of purpose. The Shadow Armada, the Dreadnoughts, the boarding teams, the drone wings. They had all contributed to a campaign that would be remembered as the greatest demonstration of human resilience and strategic mastery in galactic history. "Maris," he said, voice steady, "humanity has returned, and as long as we endure, the galaxy will remember why." Maris nodded, her eyes reflecting the distant glow of stars. They will remember, forever. In the quiet reaches of space, the dreadnoughts moved in formation, engines pulsing like the heartbeat of humanity itself. Every system reclaimed, every fleet neutralized, every command node secured, was a testament not just to strength, but to intent. Humanity had returned, not to hide, not to negotiate, but to assert its rightful place among the stars. The galaxy, once complacent and arrogant, now trembled, not from fear of annihilation, but from the undeniable realization that a species presumed extinct had returned to reshape the order of power. Civilization would rebuild, empires would adjust, and fleets would plan with caution, but none would forget the message humanity had sent. We endure, we adapt, we reclaim, and the stars themselves bear witness. Holt turned from the observation deck, eyes lingering one last time on the infinite void. "Humanity has returned," he whispered, "and nothing will ever erase that truth." Maris followed him silently. In the corridors of the Erebus, the hum of engines and the quiet authority of dreadnoughts filled the air, a symphony of power, vigilance, and assurance. The Shadow Armada had restored humanity to the galaxy, not as mere survivors, but as legends in motion, guardians and conquerors intertwined. And so, in the quiet aftermath of war, with stars scattered like jewels across the infinite black, humanity stood unchallenged, unyielding, and eternal. The galaxy would remember,